So, I know I said I would do a video sometimes here on my religious views, but I want to wait till I have the privacy of my room to make that. Otherwise, get everyone in my family listening in on my video. But anyway, I'm going to go back to some book reviews, and I read a ton of books this summer, most of which were pretty good. And I know you guys don't like books a whole lot, but try to open your mind a little, read every once in a while. So here's a list of books that I read recently. First one, let's see, The Andromeda Strain by Crichton. This book, I don't know, it was pretty good, it was decent, and the science behind it was really cool. It sort of made sense. Other times I was confused, but the only thing I didn't like about it is it sort of dragged on, storyline wasn't too interesting, it was tedious. And the ending, I don't know, the ending was okay, I guess. It was nothing special. This was a while ago that I read it, so I can't say I remember much, but it's sort of unfair to judge it like that. But I didn't like it at the time. Looking back on it, it was my favorite book. C.U.S.P. by Metzger. This book was really fascinating. It was sci-fi. Generally, I don't like really spacey sci-fis, but this one was really cool. It was about future Earth. I forget how many years in the future, but quite a few. And basically, these giant rings popped out of the Earth, like, I don't know, these giant walls almost going around the equator and the prime meridian, and then jets came out of them, and for like no apparent reason. It sounds like a weird concept, but basically scientists realized that the jets needed to be used to blast Earth to Alpha Centauri because our sun died out, and they did, and they made it over there, and it took, I forget how many years, 20 I think it was. There's this weird twist with time travel at the end, but it all made complete sense, and it was really cool. Most of it just took place on Earth. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of space travel involved, only toward the very end. The characters were great, and it was very exciting. Bit long for my taste, but it was pretty good. Let's see, 1984 by George Orwell. That was probably one of the best books I've ever read. It has a really bright cover, as you can see, but the book is definitely not a bright book. It's one of the darkest books I've ever read. It's really depressing and everything, but it was fascinating. And it was written in 1949, so 1984 was supposed to be a look into the future. It wasn't very accurate, but for the most part, it was an incredible book. The characters were fantastic, and it was so suspenseful. Definitely read 1984. Anyone would like that book, probably. Let's see, Dandelion by Bradbury. That was really good. It was like, it was sort of about his childhood, although I think most of it was fictitious. And he just took normal, everyday stories and sort of put a little twist on them, looked at it from a different view, sort of looked deeper into each story, and it was really cool. No, I'm not saying very much about any of these books, but it's been a while since I read them, so not entirely fresh, but Dandelion was very good, and the characters were extremely realistic, conversations were great and everything. Let's see, Debt of Bones by Goodkind. This is a prequel to Wizard's First Rule, which I reviewed earlier, and it was quite disappointing. I didn't expect much out of it because it was like 160 pages or something. It wasn't very good. It was, I mean, of course it was fast-paced because it was that short, but it just, the storyline didn't make sense, didn't feel like I was really drawn into it, and it was way too short. Don't know why he wrote a book that short when all his other books are near 1,000 pages. Read The Life of Pi by, what's that, Yann Martel. This was another amazing book. It was about an Indian boy who is on a boat with his family, and they're going to go to Canada, I believe it was, and they have a zoo, so they have all these animals on the boat with them, and the boat sinks. And he is left in the middle of the ocean, middle of the Pacific Ocean, with a couple animals and a Bengal tiger. And the tiger eats the other animals, and then it's just him and a tiger surviving for, I think it was months on this boat in the middle of the Pacific. And it was just, that book was incredible. It's sort of similar to Hatchet by Gary Paulson, which is also an awesome book. It was a survival book like that, but it was also very religious, and that book was simply fantastic. What else was there? Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. Steinbeck is my least favorite author, and after reading this book, I'm convinced that he's still my least favorite author. This was the best of the three of his I've read. I've read The Red Pony, which was about how miserable life is. I read The Pearl, which was about how there's no hope and life is miserable. And Of Mice and Men was about life sucks. So basically there's this guy named Lenny, and he is really strong and really dumb, but he likes animals. And so he'll have a mouse, and he'll be like, Lenny, like mouse. Lenny, pet mouse. And he smashes it. And then he keeps the dead body and like pokes it and pets it in his pocket. It's really twisted. And then at one point in the book he's like, Lenny, like wabbits. And he pets it, and he's like, wabbit woken. And the rabbit's dead. So basically this guy just goes around killing animals and people. And I didn't get much out of it. I mean, it was sort of entertaining, more entertaining than the other books, but I don't know, Steinbeck is messed up, in my opinion. And last book I read, most recent, was Hyperion by Simmons. And I just grabbed this off the shelf of a used bookstore for like $1. And it turned out to be pretty good. It was basically a sci-fi version of the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer. Not sure if you've read that, but basically in the Canterbury Tales, people go on a pilgrimage to Thomas à Becket's grave, and on the way they tell stories about things that happen in their life. And Hyperion is the same idea, except people are going to visit this creature called the Shrike, and the Shrike kills stuff. And it's basically the spirit of death, but it's not really a spirit, it's more of almost a machine, I don't know what to call it. So on their journey there, people take turns telling stories. The author got a bit over-descriptive. If you read it, you'll see what I mean. It was different, to say the least. But, very good book. A little tedious, but overall that was a pretty good book. And then there's the sequel. Actually, I think there's 4 books in the series. Not sure if I'm going to go through the whole thing, but it was decent. And right now I'm reading Stone of Tears, the sequel to Wizard's First Rule, and I'm quite confident that it's going to become my favorite book. It's much better than Wizard's First Rule so far. As long as he comes up with a good ending for it, it'll definitely be better. My favorite book. And they have a show coming out for this fall on, it's sort of unclear what channel it's on, which I find hard to believe. It's made by Disney, and it's on ABC and Disney and like Fox or something. It just doesn't make sense. Maybe it's not on Fox, I don't know. But if it's made by Disney, that's generally a bad sign. And I watched the trailer, and it just looks bad, to say the least. It looks very bad. But I'll be interested to see how that turns out. So if you haven't read Wizard's First Rule already, it's one of those books anyone would enjoy just because the writing is so amazing. The storyline is incredible. The characters are easy to relate to. So that was a fantastic book. But that's about it. Sorry I was brief on all my reviews, but can't exactly remember all the books to their full extent. But thanks for watching.